You see me battered, bruised, but never broken. Through the fire, hope still spoken. There's a strength inside me that keeps me strong. So I'll keep pushing, I'll keep holding on. Through it all, I won't fall. I've got power, standing tall. Not a bruise, but not broken. I'm unshaken, still unshaken.
Welcome back to season 9 of Battered, Bruised, Not Broken. Listen, if this is your first time joining us, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Listen, it keeps getting better. Remember last week I told you that we will be having another powerful woman with another powerful story. She is here tonight, and I'm excited to introduce you to her because she has a story that I can't wait for you to hear. And so without further ado, I'm going to get ready to introduce her to you. But before we bring her up on stage, I want you to go right ahead, just drop in the comment section. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know where you're viewing from because we want to know. And if this is your first time, we welcome you. We invite you to share this link with a friend because you just don't know who needs to hear this testimony tonight. So go right ahead, share, and make sure that you're commenting in that comment section. All right, so let's not hold her back any longer. Let's get ready to introduce her to you. And our guest for tonight is none other than Donna Marie. Welcome. We are super excited to have you. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Kamisha. Thank you for having me on this program. I am great. I'm excited. I am ready to magnify, exalt, give all glory to God for what He has done over the years and have me standing here on the 13th of October, 15th of October, just really giving Him praise for what He's done in my life.
Beautiful. And so, Donna, I know you have a story, and they're sitting on the edge of their seats because they're waiting to hear what is it she has to share. But before we jump right into it, let us start by just telling them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay. So yes, my name is Donna Marie Guiseppi. I am first and foremost a wife of 20 years, married to the bestest of friends. And I'm also a mom to a 12-year-old little boy. And well, I say little, but he is past my height. So 12-year-old little big boy and love of my life and just passionate about helping individuals get to their next, move from that stuck place. And my whole career started in HR. Actually, no, it started in executive management. So I was the executive assistant to the chairman of a big conglomerate in Trinidad and the Caribbean. And after 3 years, transitioned into HR. And always, it was just a natural fit. I love to help people. I love to really be in a place where I can bring some clarity to individuals and make them realize that they're bigger than where they are right now. And the purpose God has for them is huge. So no need to be stuck no matter what circumstances come, whether it's in the employment or field of work or wherever. You can grow and you're not bound by your present situations. So I grew in HR for 13 years and loved every aspect of it. I was mentored. I developed through that. And then in 2018, I was retrenched. So I won't get into that story yet. But through it all, I've really been one to just love God. I'm a PK. So I grew up as a pastor's kid. And I thank God that we were different. Because only when I went abroad to study to do my undergrad, was I told by individuals that Donna, you're not like the normal PKs. I'm like, there is a label on PKs? What do you mean? And they're more talking about the rebellious, sometimes because of all the restrictions and the expectations that pastors' kids supposed to operate a certain way, they tend to break out. And that was never my reality or my sister's realities. I have 3 sisters. And I'm like, oh, well, I thank God that I never felt pressured to be in church, pressured to love God, pressured to develop that relationship. And throughout the years, he has just been revealing himself more and more. And I thank God for faith, because many times over the recent years, I would tell my husband, I thank God for 2 things. One, that I'm grounded in him. I know his word and I know his promises. And 2, I thank God I have a strong foundation, a strong marriage, because with the challenges that I've been through, I'm going to say we've been through, my husband and I, because of the decision I made. If we didn't have that firm foundation in God, and if I didn't have that great relationship with my husband, I don't think that I'll be as strong as I am right now. But God has been good. God has been faithful, and it's been a battle. And I love the title of your program, Battered, Bruised, Not Broken, because throughout the different seasons, there have been many battles. And many times when I just felt like, why? Did I hear you properly, God? Did I really hear what you're saying? And I started to question who I am and what I'm doing. And but in the midst of it, I thank God for his Holy Spirit and his peace that will just remind me of his promises and give me the grace and the strength and the peace to keep going. So at the end of the day, I just love people, and I love to help people shift their mindset, Queen's mindset, shift their mindset and see beyond where they're at, and know that God's plan for them is greater than they can even ask, think, or imagine.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so I love what you said. You talked a little bit about, first, let's begin with all the roles that you play. Your mom, your wife, you're a PK, you're also an entrepreneur. You do so many different things. Where do you find the time, Donna? Where do you find the time to do all that?
That's a good question. And I forgot to mention my worship leader. And I help out in church whenever I can. So it's all about prioritizing. And many times, honestly, as a wife and as a mom, I found myself many times putting myself in different brackets and priorities. Like, okay, this is what I have to prioritize now. Have a blind eye to everything else that's happening. Get that done and then refocus. That worked for me and worked for my husband. So we've had family meetings, around the breakfast table or lunch table or dinner table. The table tends to be that place. And I'll just inform them like, hey, these next couple of months are going to be different. I'm asked to do XYZ, or I have this particular job, this particular project. I need all hands on deck. I need you all to help. If you all see the laundry is piling up, it's okay. It'll get done. You all can help me too. Let's move on, right? So in the earlies, I would have harped on things not getting done in the home. And I remember in the early years of marriage, many times I'll go to my husband, I'm like, am I a good wife? And he's like, what are you talking about? Of course you're a good wife. Why? I'm like, well, I didn't do the ironing. Oh, well, I still have to clean the bathroom. Oh, well, and it took a while for him to really get into my head. Donna, you're an awesome wife. And if a certain week goes by and this is not done, it's okay. I'm not going to judge you by that. I know you will get it done. And if you need me to help, let me help in. And he's been a real support over the years. So many times I'll come home and things are done. I'm like, oh, thank you so much, and I'm trying to get my son into that habit. I have to tell him now, like, hey, could you please do so and so? And at 12-year-old, I want to play Roblox. I'm like, you better help me now. You're not getting the Roblox, right? So I have that support system. And then thankfully, I have a great relationship and understanding of my pastor and his wife and the leadership. So if I have a big project coming up at work and I'm asked to do another project in church that is kind of conflicting, I'll have the conversation like, hi, within the next month, or next 2 weeks or whatever, I would like to please be excused from XYZ. So it's really about communicating the different challenges, the different commitments, the different priorities, and put things in place. And within 2026, I'm saying it in faith. I'm going to do my master's, and I know that is going to be another responsibility on my plate. And I've already had the multiple conversations with my family, with my pastors, with other leaders, letting them know that, hey, once this gets started, expect less of me in this regard, right? Wherever I can help, I will be there. Other than that, this is a season now where I need to get my qualifications, at a higher level. And I thank God I've always had a great support system. Always had a great support system.
Beautiful. That word, support system, that's important. That's key, right? To take you through. And so, Donna, you have a story. And then, like I said, they're waiting on the edge of their seats. You kind of started to hint at some stuff already. So they kind of have an idea. But let's begin to unfold and start from the beginning, of it all. Tell us where it all started for you.
Okay, so it all started in 2017. At that point in time, I was an HR manager for one of the subsidiary companies within the conglomerate. 5 years prior, the organization had purchased a private enterprise. And I was sent in there as the HR lead to really instill, yes, the policies and procedures within the big company, but also the culture, right? The culture of who we are, and that's a huge thing, right? And it was that project was one of the most trying projects in my career. The first 8 years with that organization was like heaven. I grew so much. It stretched me, but I had great mentors. And then went in there. Actually, my son, I came off of maternity leave straight into that position with this new organization. And it was a battle. It was quite interesting. So by 2017, that's the fourth year within the fourth year within the acquisition, that I'm seeing the financial results of the organization management meetings. I'm seeing the writing is on the wall, literally. And I know that we're heading in the wrong direction. So I had a meeting with my HR director, and she said, hey, Donna, most likely this may happen in the coming year, a retrenchment that is. And we may have to retrench the position of the HR manager, because the bigger company would absorb the management position of it. However, there's a huge conglomerate. You've worked with us for 13 years. We will find a place for you. I said, okay, not a problem. I went home, spoke to my husband, and said, hey, this may be our reality. And the interesting thing about it is that months before, in my devotions and just my private time, I would journal, and I knew God was preparing me for something's coming. Something's coming. Spend more time in worship, spend more time in the Word, spend more time in my presence, because you need this for what's coming. But I'm not thinking retrenchment, right? So when this was brought to my attention, I spoke to my husband. I said, okay, Donna, whatever decision you make, I'm here for you. I'm here with you. Of course, we pray about it. Fine. 2018 rolled around and it became a reality. And I've always been one to never burn bridges. I really believe that however you leave an organization speaks a lot of how the future will be for you. I love to sow good seeds. And I know that that company, that organization has been extremely good to me over the years. So when the final meeting was had with me one-on-one, like, hey, within the next 2 months, this is going to, or 3 months, this is going to happen. And we're going to start sensitizing staff that, to put things in place. Of course, you're not telling staff who they are, but let them start to reimagine the expectations. And they said, we're still looking for something for you, Donna. I said, sure, not a problem. And then they had a final conversation and said, listen, you will be retrenched, but we're looking for something for you. So I found myself having staff meetings, town hall meetings, telling staff, hey, this may be coming. And just remember one key thing. You are not defined by your status. You are not defined by your position. So if you are on the other side, you are greater than this. Even in staff meetings, I decided to talk about it. And I remember I was told, okay, Donna, for sure, it's going to happen on so-and-so date. And we have 2 options for you. I said, okay, not a problem. I said, you know what? I don't pay me my 45 days notice. I will work through the 45-day period because I want to sow. I didn't tell them that, but I know me. I said, in my mind, I want to sow a seed into the organization. And I remember my HR director said she has never in all her years, in all her career, met an HR professional who is being retrenched and worked through the entire retrenchment period. I did all the due diligence. I dealt with the Board of Inland Revenue. I did the calculations. I even had the one-on-one meetings with those other employees who were let go. So I worked right straight through it. And I remember some employees, they're like, but aren't you retrenched also? I heard through the grapevine you're retrenched. I'm like, oh yeah, I am. And you're doing this? I'm like, yeah, this is my opportunity to really just give to this organization. They've been good to me. And the HR director, just to back up, the 2 positions that they had for me, unfortunately, were located like an hour away from where I live. My first 3 years when I worked there, I did work in that location, but I didn't have a child. In 2018, I now have a 5-year-old who's about to go into primary school. And I was not prepared to leave my house at 5 in the morning in order to reach on time and come back home at 7 because the traffic is horrendous. And I remember initially I said yes. And after 2 weeks, I was just stressing out before anything was revealed to anyone. And I called my HR director again and I met with her and I said, you know what, I'm bowing out. And she looked at me in shock. She's like, no, you can't. You can't leave. It's 13 years. You've given to us. You're one of our employees that we want to stay. We want to keep. You can't leave. And I said, well, my family is important and my son needs me now more than ever. So I'm bowing out. So that was 2018. And initially I started in network marketing because I really thought I was the cash cow for my business. And back then, the only lens through which I was looking at from a business point of view was event management. Because in 2016, I registered my event business. I just love events. And I would have done 1 or 2 little events. The largest was a wedding, 300 and I think 350 guests. And I was in a glee. But working full-time and having a demanding job and all the other commitments I would have mentioned earlier, it was really hard to devote all our attention into building an events business. So after I was retrenched, I guess I was very naive. My husband tells me I was not naive because he said, I knew that it would take a while, but I thought that I was going to run through those gates like, yeah, my business has started. Everybody come and be my client. And that was not a reality. The network marketing was not the cash cow that I envisioned. And I'm not one to like to give up or to quit when I'm doing something. So even though within the second COVID came, it was difficult for everybody. And in 2021, I still held on. I was still like, no, we're going to make it work. We're going to make it work. We're going to make it work. It was not working. So by December of 2021, I decided, Donna, Yes, you don't get your cash cow. You don't get the big influx of capital to have your events business, but let's just do it. Let people notice what you're doing. If you don't let people know, you won't have clients. So I got onto my social media and, did the norm, advertise what I can. And unfortunately, I didn't have past events to display of my expertise. So there were no clients. It was like cricket chirping for months. And I remember in June of that year, I was sitting on the couch with my husband, really, really honestly depressed. Honestly, just, I can't believe we're going to have another month of pressure, financial pressure. Because remember, we're married for, well, now it's 20 years. So back then we were married for, I can't remember, 2005 to 2018, right? To 2021. We built our life on two incomes. We have our home, we had our vehicles, we have life that we built with two incomes. And here I am in 2021, and we're like under pressure, real pressure. I remember sitting there and thinking, no, Donna, you need to do something. You need to do something. You can't. You have skills. I know you have a lot within you. Shift your mind, shift your eyes from just events. There's a lot within you. And I realized an aspect of events that I love is protocol. I love how things are organized and properly done, and just the right way in which you do things, the seating arrangements, the etiquette, how you present yourself, all of that was so important. So it's like, I have an idea. I looked at my husband and said, I have an idea. I'm gonna do an online training on how you present yourself, how you brand yourself. Because the same way how an organization has a brand, we individuals, we should have a brand too, because your brand speaks to who you are. So he's like, all right. So I went straight into my home office and I drew out a whole plan as to how I'm going to do this whole thing. And then by the next week, I started to advertise it. And I was so excited. But that first online seminar, workshop, what do we call it? I had 6 people. I was so upset. I was upset. And but while advertising it, each time I promoted it, persons would say, hey, this sounds really good. Can I come to the other one? It's such short notice, but if you give me more time, I'll come to the other one. So because of that, it was like, oh, great. So people want to come to the other one? Awesome. Let me do one the following month. That subsequent webinar, I had a half of a person. I always say it's half of a person because one person signed up. And by the time I reached the second or third slide of the presentation, they were knocked off, totally gone. I'm like, what happened? So I called, I'm like, hey, are you coming back? And he's like, oh, electricity left. So I have no data. And I said, okay. That one, Kimisha, was the first hard knock. I remember it was in the month of August, and I called my husband who was at work, and I called him. I was in tears. And I said, I'm done. I give up. I'm sorry for putting you through this, and I'm gonna go back into the corporate world. And he said, no, you're not. He's like, Donna, I've seen you grow so much from 2018 to now. I've seen God work in your life, and he still is working in your life. It's like, if I have to ban my belly for a few more months just to see you walk in the fullness of what God is calling you to, I will do it. Do not stop. Keep going. And I'm like, wow. Okay, I love you. And so I stuck with it, and just kept going, promoting on social media. And then eventually I developed a program on personal branding. So it's a module then, but I was slow in coming because persons have to really understand the importance of the brand. You have to see the need first. If you don't see the need, you ain't gonna, buy it. So it was really slow in getting income, even though I believed in my products. I'm like, I know this is real good quality, but what's happening? And I remember God is so good. I connected with an individual by accident who is a business coach. And the reason how I got in contact with her is somebody sent me an email with a company that wanted an event planner to organize to plan a big event, a Caribbean event later that year. And the person who wanted the information, the proposal was this coach, right? So I said, yeah, I'm going to do it. But as I got more into the details of what was required was a huge event team, which I didn't have. I'm a one person show, right? So I contacted the individual and said, hi, my name is Donna Guiseppi, and I got this request for proposal. And unfortunately, I'm going to bow out. I did say I was going to do it, but I am not equipped. I love to be honest, right? I have no pride. It is what it is. So I said, I'm not equipped for this, but thank you for the opportunity. However, you may have to look for other vendors. And she's like, so what do you do? And I told her, I said, hey, event is my love. However, right now, this is what I'm doing. And I kept talking about etiquette back in that time. Like, help people with etiquette. And she's like, wrong word. It shouldn't be etiquette. It should be, she's like, let's do a consultation. And she started to consult with me in that moment. And I stopped her and said, hey, Dana, I didn't plan this. I didn't plan it. As she started to talk, I realized she's a believer also. And she's like, I know you didn't plan it. I said, but it's okay. I could coach you. I could help you through this. And then right after that, I set up a real consultation coaching session with her that totally changed the trajectory of how I was marketing my business. And that was a significant turning point in me being more focused on what I'm doing. And, she herself revealed that, Donna, you have so much within you from an HR point of view, because you are a first impression strategist. It's not just about etiquette. It's the first impression you give individuals in all spheres of life, whether it's a first impression in trying to get a job, a first impression doing a presentation for executive team, a first impression in networking events. What are you given? The brand is speaking through that first impression that you give individuals. And that's how first impression strategist was coined. And she really mapped out how to build my business. And that's how our God works, right? Because I knew her, I didn't know her at all. And that really started to grow and build. So from that, I now have recruitment. Recruitment is coming. That's on the back end. But what I have is resume reconstruction, interview preparation. Of course, the personal branding is still going. But through the journey, yes, it's been hard. Yes, it's been difficult. But I've seen how God just started to just reveal so much more of what's inside of me. And one of the things I want to leave with those who are listening is that so many times we limit God through the limits we put on ourselves. And in 2018, when I left my organization, I was just thinking events, weddings, amen, right? But I know that God had so much more within me. So when I sat that evening on the couch and I was just like, no, something has to give. Donna, you have so much. I started to dig deep. What do I have? I know I am bigger than just where I am right now. And it's not about pride or arrogance. It's just a knowing that God has deposited a lot within me. And I remember this year, I'm just going to pull up a script here. During my devotions, this scripture jumped out at me and it has helped me significantly during this year because the journey continues, right? There are some months where I'm like, yeah, other months where I feel it, right? And I remember I was praying, and I love Isaiah chapter 43. Love it. fear thou not, for I've redeemed thee. I call you by name, and that whole scripture. So I just felt a nudging Isaiah, but it was 42. And I telling God, I'm like, no, God, you mean 43? And he's like, no, 42. I'm like, what does 42 have in it? I mean, yes, I read the Bible, but I can't remember something significant that you spoke to me about in 42. But eventually I listened. I'm like, okay, you're God. So let me go to Isaiah 42. And he led me straight to verse 16 that says, and I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them and not forsake them. And that stood out for me because, in the Bible, you hear about miracles that God would heal the blind or open the eyes of the blind and they will see. But it's the first time I really saw where God says, in the current state of blindness, right? I will bring the blind by the way that they knew not, and I will lead them in the paths that they have not known. And I've held on to that so closely because I've seen him reveal to me things that I wasn't even seeing. I was blind to it. I'm not even going down that road. I'm like, hey, let me just go. I'm happy on this little, path that I'm on right now. But he's taking the blind and bringing them to the place that they have to be, and then leading them in that space. And I just held on to that constantly throughout this year. And as I mentioned, recruitment earlier, I've realized that I've always told individuals, you have to heal from your past. I did not know that retrenchment was going to be so emotionally jarring because I am the one who said, no, thank you. I'm the one who said, hey, Mr. Company, thank you for the 2 other options, but no, I'm gonna bow out. So if it was my decision, why does it hurt? Why are there moments when I feel so alone, like I made a mistake? Why does it hurt? And I realized more and more that retrenchment it's hard because your employment, what you do is almost kind of like your identity. And as much as I always said, your job does not define you, I realized that it is still a part of you. And I had to reach to a place of letting go of that and saying, Lord, thank you for the new identity I have in you. And because of that hurt, I was avoiding like the plague anything to do with HR. I was like, the closest I'm getting is preparing people for interviews and their resume. Anything other than that, it's okay. I'm not going to do it, right? And within as recent as September month, last month, I went to another training with my coach, and it was a whole workshop, 2-day workshop. And in the workshop, I'm hearing talk because it was a working session where you're actually building your business and your goals and strategic plan and everything. And I'm hearing her telling other attendees, oh yeah, Donna could help you with that. I'm like, what is she talking about? Only to realize it's recruitment. And during the break, a couple of them, they're like, hey, Donna, we want to talk to you. These are all entrepreneurs, right? And they're like, hey, we want to scale our business, but recruitment just seems to be that one thing that's in the way. And even those who have employees, the challenges they're having. And I started to ask these questions that come very naturally because I'm trained in it, right? So it came very naturally, like, oh, so how's your documentation like? And do you have your policies? And what's your procedures? And and how did you recruit? And they're like, what? No, what? We didn't think about that. And afterwards, Dana came to me and she's like, you realize you're running. You're running from so much more that's in you. Because of the hurt of the past, you were just avoiding anything related to HR, like if. And she's like, you have to realize that you have so much more in you. Start to open up and expand. So as we speak, I am going to be launching the recruitment arm of Donna Marie Guiseppi Consulting because I'm realizing that people just don't know. As an entrepreneur, you're very tunnel focused on what you're a one-man show, right? So you're focused on what you're about to do. You know your goals, you know where you want to reach, and you're working with your head down. And then you might say, okay, well, I want to scale, I want to grow, but I need people. And if they don't even know, persons don't even know how to recruit, what to look for, and how important the brand that they currently have needs to be so clear, because whoever you're bringing in needs to represent that brand too. So the whole branding aspect that I've been preaching for the past 3 years, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, for the past 3 years, I was just focused on how could you build your personal brand to achieve your goals, not recognizing that, okay, Donna, the brand for organizations, for entrepreneurs, is just as important as a corporate brand, and everything you do stems from that. So I know I've said a lot, but it's been a season of growth, a season of tears, a season of wondering, God, did I make a mistake? Did I not hear from you? Or did you I paused because I was about to say, did you abandon me? And it's amazing. Intellectually, I know God's word, and I know he is not a man that he should lie. He will never leave nor forsake. But honestly, if we're being really transparent here this evening, honestly, there are moments where I felt it. I felt like, are you hearing me? Are you seeing me? Hello? And but I thank God for it, because in those moments, I have no choice but to get closer to him. I have no choice but to go in prayer and fasting. I have no choice but to hold on to his promises as though it's the very oxygen that I have, because without that, I could do nothing. So I thank God for the trying times, but I am really looking forward to the season. I could feel it. I could feel the shift. I could feel the how should I put it? The fog just being dispersed. It's like there's clarity. And what I've also learned through this is that the longer you take in holding on to what you think is the right way without really walking by faith, the longer you're going to be in that season of despair, of confusion, of frustration. I've also learned that many times as Christians, we say that we live by faith, but many times it was, or it has been, or let me talk about me. Many times it has been, you have a ace in your back pocket, kind of like, oh, well, if this doesn't work out, yeah, I'm going to do this, and I've realized that was not faith. That was kind of like, I just have a way out. But when faith is when there is no other feasible solution. You really can't even see the way. You can't. But all you have to do, all you know is that you're making a step, and God's got you. So that word that says, your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path, it really speaks to, that's full of direction. Because why would you want a lamp? The only time you need a lamp is when there's darkness. And as you make that step, the lamp is on your foot. So as you make that step, the illumination goes ahead of you, and you start to see a little bit more down the path. And it has to be the word. You have to be in the word. You have to be in prayer. You have to be connected. And another most important thing before I end, and I'm talking a lot, is your associations. So I talked about my husband. I thank God a trillion, billion, quadrillion times for him. But other than that, the support system outside of my home was so important. My pastors, very important. And my close friends. I've never been one to have like a big crowd. I have an inner circle, that I hold very close. And thankfully, that inner circle has been such a support. So when I can't get my husband, he's on the phone. I mean, he's at work. I'm feeling frustrated. I could call my best friend, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And they could bring the word. They could be like, okay, Donna, okay, pity party, have it, cry. You finished cry? You're done. You're sure you finished cry? Okay. How are you feeling now? Let me shake you back into reality, back to vision. Remember your vision. Remember what you shared with me? You remember the promise that God gave you? Do you remember? Why you want to give up? Why do you want to throw in the towel? Keep going. And I thank God for that support system. I thank God for my parents. Such a blessing. They're not, have some parents that, once you reach 18, goodbye, fend for yourself, rock on. I'm far from 18, but they're amazing. They're amazing. They would call and be like, hi, how is this month looking for you? And they know that I am the more conservative one. I would say, good, a little challenging, but good. And then they'll say, put Sherwin on the phone. My husband. Because they know I'm not going to tell them the full thing. And then they're like, so Sherwin, tell us what's happening. What do you need? So I am so grateful for what he's doing in my life and for who he has placed in my life as support. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the blessings of God are going to come. And one thing my father always tells me, always, he's like, Donna, God rewards faithfulness. Many times I would lead worship. I ain't feeling it. That morning, I'm having a hard morning. And I'll just pray and say, God, I give this worship to you. Because it's not about feelings. It's not about swinging from the chandelier and, just having a happy moment. I'm worshiping you because of who you are, not because of what you've given me. I worship you because of who you are. I'm faithful to you because of your character, because of your nature, because of what you've given to me through your son, Jesus Christ. And he keeps reminding me, my dad keeps reminding me, he's like, Donna, you're faithful and God rewards faithfulness. You've never turned your back on him. You've never questioned so I question it, but I never throw it in his face, like, God, what are you doing? I've just been like in my tears and in my private time, like, Lord, your daughter feeling it, help me, and I thank God for his love, his grace, his mercy, his strength, and what he's doing in me and through me.
Amazing. So if we can just segue back, we're getting ready to go shortly, but there are a few questions I would like to ask as you were sharing there just now. So you said earlier that, when you had the opportunity and they came to you and they said, you know what, we really are going to try our best to find something for you because they don't want to let you go. And so having heard that, and then you made that decision and you decided based on family, this is really not going to work for me, so I'm going to let that go. Walk us through that process of having to come home and say to your husband, I've let go of that opportunity, or what could have been an opportunity for me. Was this something that you guys had discussed before you would have let go of it, or did you let go and then kind of tell him afterwards, because you weren't settled, in going forward with them?
Right. We discussed it before. So the year before, when I had the initial meeting with the HR director, I went home and I told him, I said, hey, this might be a possibility. What if? And he's like, okay, we're in the network marketing at that point in time still. And he's like, hey, well, we have the network marketing. And Donna, you've always talked about the events business. Ever since I know you, you've always wanted your events business. So this may actually be the opportunity. Pray about it. And whatever you do, I'm going to support you. Good. So a year later, when it's actually happening, initially, I told my company, yes, I will take it. So let me segue a little bit. Not the two positions that were an hour away. the third option, I didn't mention this part, but there was a third option of staying within the said organization, but not function in HR capacity. They wanted me to manage the operations of the entity. And initially I said yes. I was like, okay, sure. So I went home and told my husband, and he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, because there was some fear about retrenchment. There was fear of, oh my gosh, no income. You know, life is going to change. So I said, you know what, it's something different. I'll take it. And it's like, okay, so 2 weeks passed and we still had to go through the process. We meaning the HR process and procedure where you still have to advertise the position to give other persons an opportunity, right? And I remember seeing the ad go out within the organization. I'm like, okay, this is happening. And I remember one day driving to work, it was just on my mind. And I became so stressed about this because it wasn't just about me doubting my ability to manage the operations, but it was more so, I'm trying to choose my words carefully. It was more so the environment, the individuals with whom I would have to work. And 5 years, remember, 5 years, I was sent here to change the culture of the organization. And it was an upward battle. It was climbing a mountain during a hurricane season. And there was slush and mud everywhere and debris is falling out. It was, so that imagery should paint the picture, right? So for the 5 years, 5 years, it was, I faced a lot of challenges, a lot of passive aggression from executive and also direct, outright objections to policies, procedures, right? So I'm driving to work this morning and I'm just very present of the culture, the environment that I'm actually now. I'm not just in HR where I'm just off to the side. I'm in the hot pot, and I started to feel extremely stressed. And I had to pull aside at the side of the road, and I'm in tears. I am sobbing. I'm crying. I am feeling overwhelmed. And I called my husband right away. I said, "Babe, just the thought of doing this, it's too much. I can't." And he's like, "Don't." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Don't. We've talked about this. We've talked about this being a possibility. I don't want you under this amount of stress. This is an opportunity for you to do what you love and to build what you love. I am for you. I'm supporting you. Don't do it." So as I hung up with him, I called my HR director. I'm like, "Hey, which office are you in today? I need to come and meet with you now." And so I just set up that impromptu meeting with her. And that's when I informed her, goodbye. So it requires a lot of stick-to-itiveness, I call that, because I remember I met with the then president of the group of companies who was the executive chairman to whom I was his assistant in the first 3 years of my career. So fast forward how many years, he's now the president. And I set up a meeting with him 2 weeks before I left. And he's like, "I can't believe you're leaving. How could you leave?" And he's like, "You will be back. I know you will be back." I looked at him and I said, "I won't." I said, "I know you don't want me to leave, but I won't be back. And this is it." Yes, over the years, I've questioned, should I have? But every time I go back to vision, promises, I know that this is what I need to do. And there's something deep, big that God is building in me, that I need to go through this in order to get there. If it was a smooth road paved with gold and no potholes and no challenges, what is needed to build the muscle would not be present. So I needed this. I needed all of the challenges to build that muscle to get me to where God needs me to be in order to accomplish the purpose He has for me on this earth. And that's for certain, without a doubt. I know my purpose. I know what God has called me to do. So that's how that decision was made.
Beautiful. And I love that your husband, he stood and he supported you and he pushed you, even when you were doubting, whether you could do this or not.
Yeah.
And as you moved and you segued, because you pretty much walked right into entrepreneurship, walked right into your ordained purpose. And as you began to walk that out, as you would have shared earlier, of course, there were challenges along the way because you're now figuring it out as you go along and so on. And thank God for placing Dana in your life, your coach. I hope became your
Yes.
coach and help coach you through that process. And so
Mhm.
now you are there and you are building. What are some of these things that you would have learned along the way? That if there's that woman right now who is tuning in right now and she herself may be right there in that same space where she knows that she is called to this particular thing, she has the talent, she has the passion, the heart for it, everything. But of course, the job is like a cushion for her right now where she's holding on to that because it's giving her steady income, and stepping out into the deep is an unknown place to go. And so what would be your words of encouragement to that woman who is tuning in?
Okay. I would say be very clear on your vision. Be very, very clear on your vision and your purpose. Without a vision, the people perish. And there's a reason why the word is the word. Because I was able to just keep focused on that. If you are being retrenched, you don't really have that much planning ahead of you to put things in place. Say like, okay, let me have this number of savings first, these number of months of savings first, and have a structure in place. You're just thrown into this world of entrepreneurship where you have to make it happen. If you have the opportunity to plan, I would say be wise in the planning. Definitely, if you're married, make sure that you have that support, that it's not a unilateral decision that you've just made, because when the tough times come, because they're going to come, it's going to come, hands down. When the tough times come, you don't want to be in a situation where somebody says, I told you so. You went and you did what you wanted to do, even though I didn't want you to do it. And now look where we are in. Because many times during the past, how many years, I would tell the crying times, I would be like, hey, babe, I put us in this position. And he's like, no, you did not. What do you mean you put us in this? You put yourself in this situation. It's like, we went in this together. We decided together. So make sure you do have that that unity. And one thing I just remembered, Kamisha, is it loops back to vision and knowing for a fact that God has called you to this. Because one of the many times I would have had my devotions and just crying out to God, I walked around with a lot of guilt for many months. I felt guilty because I caused us to not have a great Christmas. I caused us to not go on a family vacation to whichever country because of my decision. And even though my husband kept telling me over and over, Donna, this is not you. We decided this is a family thing. God had to get it through my head, right? So I'm sure God was like, okay, you're not listening. So I'm having my devotions, and he brought very clearly, he's like, why are you living in guilt when I have you walking in purpose? And he reminded me of the heroes of faith, I call them, in Hebrews chapter 11. When Moses had to take the children out, initially it wasn't an easy thing. He knew God spoke to him to do that. And I'm sure he may have thought, hey, let me go to Pharaoh. We're going to be like, yeah, man, go, let him go. But there was a fight. And the interesting thing is that in the initial stages, before he went to Pharaoh, he went to the elders in Israel and spoke to them and said, hey, this is what God is going to do. And everybody was happy, like, yay, our savior has come. We're gonna be leaving Egypt, yay! And everybody was for him. And when things got hard, because Pharaoh reduced the number of resources but increased the quantity in which they had to produce, when things got hard, everybody turned their back against Moses. Like, what are you doing? You it's best we stay here, whatever. You all know the story. But in the midst of that, Moses couldn't feel guilty, like, oh my gosh, look what I've caused. I've caused so much trauma. I've caused whatever. It's part of the purpose. It's part of the calling. It's part of the calling. Why feel guilty during all of this? So, and that shook me and helped me. So once you know that this is what God has called you to do, if you have time to plan, be wise with it, plan it out, have your goals, have a strategic plan and your goals, communicate, get the support that you need because you're going to need it, and have a tunnel focus, because everybody, yes, I'm Trinidadian, so I would say things like every Tom, Dick, Harry, Samindra, and Harry Lal is going to have an opinion. You're going to get unsolicited advice. You're going to have everybody coming out from the woodwork telling you what you should have could have done differently, whatever. But when you have a knowing that you know that this is what God has for you, keep focused there, keep your vision before you, and just step out with wisdom in faith and get it done. Get it done. Know that God is for you.
Well said, well said. Listen, we're getting ready to head out now, but I hope you guys are listening and you're listening well, because Donna has shared some gems right here. If you're tuning in right now and you can totally relate to this story because you know God has called you for more, but you are toying on the lines because you are afraid, I want you to be encouraged with what she's sharing right now. Donna, for that individual that's tuning in and they're like, oh my goodness, I connect with her story. I want to learn more about, what she does and how we can connect and possibly work together. I want you to tell them where they can find you and also let us know what is up next for you.
Okay, sure. So my social media is Donna Marie Guiseppi. That's on Facebook and also on Instagram. And I also have a website, Donna Marie Guiseppi Consulting Services. Sorry, DonnaMarieGuiseppi.com, where you'll see the name of my business, Donna Marie Guiseppi Consulting Services. And there you will see all the different services that I have to offer. Before the end of this month, October, I'm launching the recruitment arm of it. And the whole purpose of everything we do is really to help persons get to their next level. What is the next? Because too many times we feel trapped, and understanding your purpose, I've said it so many times, understanding your purpose, having a vision and your mission, is so important. So through our coaching program, I help persons build that brand. And the first module we deal with is purpose, mission, vision. Because without that vision, you're going to be spinning all over the place, right? So it helps you to keep grounded. And then the other modules would deal with how you build the brand of Kamisha, the brand of Jane. How do you build that brand? So when you step into those spaces of influence, doors can open for you, whether it's a new job, whether it's networking, whether it's a promotion, whether it's marriage, whether it's about to go to university, not to show, all these different things we have there. And then, of course, if you are looking at promotion or you want a job, you want to start your career, I help persons prepare for the interview, because I've interviewed hundreds of persons, whether it's entry level, supervisory, or executive. So I see so many times I've seen individuals on paper nail it, right? Yeah, they sold themselves on paper, so much so that I'm like, hey, I want to meet this person. And then they come into the room and you're like, oh, maybe I should not have met that person. Because they're just not aware of how to really bring all of who they are to the interview. So our interview intensive is intense. It's 2 Zoom sessions where we just go in depth on me going through the questions. I will prepare the questions based on the job that you're looking for. And whether it's technical, behavioral, problem solving, teamwork, whatever it is, based on the job description, I extract questions and we go through. Some people say it's a mock interview, and it can be that. But as you answer the question, I give you feedback right away as to how you're answering the question. And we look at obstacles. What do you think are the obstacles that's going to prevent you from getting this job? And how can we eradicate those obstacles? How can we climb the hurdles and get you there? Resume Reconstruct is another service that I provide because, again, that's another area where it's the very first step in presenting your brand to an organization. They don't know you from Adam or Eve at all. But what is it that an employer is looking for in this document to pique their interest, to say, hey, let's get to the next level? I always say your resume is kind of like your first date, right? And it's like, oh, I want to go to a second date. Good. That's the interview. If your first date flops, you're not going to get into the second date, right? And then the marriage is when you get the job, right? So that's my analogy. So we have the personal branding, the interview intensive, the resume reconstruct, and coming on the heels now is the recruitment arm to really help entrepreneurs learn how to scale their business by strategically, intentionally recruiting the best talent for their business to represent the brand. So in your absence, your stakeholders, when they interact with Jane or Mary or John, they feel as though they're interacting with you because you have really sourced the individual that reflects your brand and what you want for your organization, all that you're about. So there's no missing link in the whole chain going forward. So that's what we have coming up.
Awesome. But listen, guys, you just heard it right here. You heard it from Donna Marie. She shared her story with you. She told you how God used an opportunity for her to fulfill purpose, to walk completely into her purpose. And so if that's you, if you connect, I want you to be encouraged with everything that has been shared here. If you're now tuning in and you didn't get to watch it from the beginning, that's okay. You can capture it, the replay. It'll be up so you can watch the replay. And remember, if you have not shared this with a friend, then what are you waiting for? Go right ahead and share. Make sure you share this with a friend so they too can be encouraged. And if you've not subscribed to this channel, then what are you waiting for? Go right ahead and subscribe right now so that you can be kept abreast on what is coming up. Next week, Wednesday, we'll be right back here with another powerful woman sharing another powerful story. And so I look forward to seeing you as we continue season 9 of Battered, Bruised, Not Broken. We want to thank you so much again, Donna, for tuning in tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for being so transparent and sharing your story. And to those of you that are always tuning in, thank you. Shout out to all the Queen's Mindset community who are plugged in right now. And those of you who are also tuning in wherever you're watching from, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you here next week, same time and same place. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk very soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
You see me battered, bruised, but never broken. Through the fire, hope still spoken. There's a strength inside me that keeps me strong. So I'll keep pushing, I'll keep holding on. Through it all, I won't fall. I've got power, standing tall. Battered, bruised, but not broken. I'm unshaken, still unshaken.